This video is on using the Maine Science and Technology Standards. The objective for this video is you will be able to follow the process of using the Maine Science and Technology Standards to identify performance indicators for your lessons. Then, as part of our class on Monday, given a lesson, you will be able to identify a performance indicator or indicators from the Maine Standards to generate your lesson's objective or objectives. You may have more than one objective. So let's first go over again the Maine Standards. If you remember, there are three main groupings within the Maine Science and Technology Standards. First of all, there's the unifying themes. And then we get to the skills and traits, or the basis of inquiry. And then we get to the content performance indicators. When you are working with the Maine Science and Technology Standards, you will have to look at all three groupings to see if you would have performance indicators that would fall under each, or one, or all of them. So let's try an example. This is a lesson from Science and Children, and it is about fourth grade. It's at the fourth grade level with fourth graders modeling water's role in changing Earth's surface. So when you have a lesson that you've picked, what you first should do is think about what is the lesson about. So with this lesson, it really is focused on erosion. And also, it's having kids investigate factors involving water that could influence erosion. So the students are setting up an investigation, modeling a factor that could influence erosion. They are collecting data. They're drawing conclusions. So now let's go back to this outline of the Maine Standards and look at the first grouping. Under, right here, the unifying themes, think about whether your lesson could have any performance indicator that would fall under that. And as I think about that, yes, it could be models, because the students are making a model to then investigate something, investigate erosion. So I would need to look under those performance indicators to see if there's something that I could pull from there. Then I look under the next grouping, and I see that the students are actually conducting an experiment, conducting an investigation. So I will look under skills and traits of scientific inquiry. It wouldn't be under technological design. It would be under this one. It wouldn't be under these, where I might be able to find some performance indicators. And then the final one are the content standards. And there I would look under Earth, because this is an Earth science focused lesson. So now let's take each one of these one at a time. Let's start with unifying themes. So the unifying themes, I picked that I need to look at performance indicators under models. So I go to that page, and as you can see, the performance indicators start at pre-K2 all the way up through high school to graduation. Since my lesson is on fourth grade, I would be looking at these right here. So on the next slide, I'm going to pull only the 3 through 5th grade performance indicators out and only look at those. So here they are. Students use models to represent objects, processes, and etc. So I look at those as a whole. I read this as a whole, and I think, okay, can I write an objective for this fourth grade lesson that would have a flavor of what this is about modeling? And I can. Students will build a model that will effectively test one variable that could influence erosion. And notice that I then cite A2, 3 through 5. And just for you to look again, A2 is what the grouping was. So let's go back down to here. That's where this citation came from. So let's look at the next grouping. If you remember under B, I saw that under 1, I would need to look at the performance indicators under there. So here they are, again, pre-K all the way through high school graduation. And because it's a fourth grade lesson, I would focus on 3 through 5. On the next slide, I pull those 3 through 5 out. So I'm just looking at these right here. And I read through them and say, are there indicators that I could then turn into an objective that would focus on my lesson? So here I've got your objective. Sometimes you will have more than one for this fourth grade lesson. And yes, I'm having them pose investigable questions. So students will pose an investigable question focused on erosion. Notice I said it, B, 1A, 3 through 5. But they're also planning and conducting an investigation. So I also write an objective. Students will plan and conduct an investigation controlling all variables but one. And I cite it B, 1B, so it's B, 1B, 3, 5. And also, they are using data. Using data gathered, students will construct and support a reasonable explanation, and I note that. Now, I didn't pick use simple equipment tools and appropriate metric units because they weren't. In this lesson, they're using a cookie sheet and different soil, so this was not a big central part of the lesson. So you have to pick and choose knowing what your activity is, what your lesson is. Now let's look at the final grouping. The final grouping was actually the content. And if you recall, I picked Earth because this is under Earth Science. Here's the page. Again, we're focused on the 3 to 5, so I just focus on that. So on the next slide, I just pull those up. And I, again, look at these, and there's a lot of stuff going on in this performance indicator. You know, rotation of the Earth, all of these things that my lesson is not about. So what do I do here? I look and I think, okay, right here, explain how wind, waves, water, and ice reshape the surface of the Earth. Well, I'm talking about water reshaping the surface of the Earth. That's the only part I'm looking at. So I write the objective. Students will explain how factors including water can cause erosion and thereby reshape the surface of the Earth. So you notice that I'm just looking at D2, 3 through 5, part of C. So I just mentioned that it's part of C. So with each performance indicator, you need to focus on what your lesson is about and then draft an objective that focuses on that but pulls from the performance indicator. This is the end of video 2. Test yourself. Were you able to follow the process outlined in this PowerPoint? If no, try to review it again. Come to class with specific questions that might help me help you. And I would like you to be prepared with a working knowledge, so in class you will be able to take one of the Maine performance indicators that links to your lesson involving the children's book and generate at least one objective. Take care.